I guess like what I've kind of like thought about with my thesis more and more is about like the significance of the impact that technology has on like society and culture and people's behavior, and like because of that is why I kind of want to challenge people's expectations with like how technology would say like react to their participation. So that's kind of how everything turns around, and I was kind of able to like better vocalize or figure out like why I was interested in like wanting to kind of like offer like interesting or unusual situations back to the user. And I think it's because it's like almost this like tongue-in-cheek way of kind of pushing them out of their boundaries of how they think the world should behave with all this connectiveness. I guess, have you kind of been like following the like whole like weird like Pokemon Go thing, and like have you heard about it?
Yeah, I downloaded it this weekend, and I think I'm a level 3 Pokemon trainer, which is probably about as bad as you can get. But so many people were talking about it. Eventually, you have to try it and
Right.
see what they're talking about. Yeah.
um and like I think that's like a perfect example. Sorry, there's like bugs flying around in my face. That's sort of the a perfect example, I think, of situations or scenarios that a really cool like technical solution kind of came about, like was developed and was released, but the most interesting aspects of it is like the cultural phenomenons that are like
Hmm.
kind of forming around it, whether it's like people like saying there's Pokemon in a certain location, then as people come to like catch the Pokemon, they like get robbed, or like it looks like zombie apocalypses in Central Park in New York of just like people just like storming in. Like, do you think it's it's more important, almost like aside from Pokemon, that like culturally it's like looked at like how technology is influence or impacting like society or changing it at such like a rapid pace, because there's kind of like no other time where something has been so accessible and influential, I don't think, for people.
Hmm.
Do you think more should have been looked at with how it would culturally affect people, right? Because like the biggest impact that it's having is that like people like someone fell off a cliff, or like people are getting
Sure.
robbed. It's like impacting people outside of the expected like technological like arena or like ecosystem. So like do you think it's like a
Yeah.
reasonable thing
Yeah.
that companies now, as products like this are being released, need to kind of investigate more on the like social or non-technical side, or is like do you think people should just be like, oh, whatever, like it is what it is?
I mean, I think that Pokemon Go, when I downloaded it, I thought it was cool, but I didn't think it was like revolutionary. It's the first game that makes you go outside into the physical world to like interact. And if you're just sitting at your house, it gets pretty boring after like 2 seconds. You're like, damn, I gotta move. I gotta go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the world to like continue my gameplay. And so it's that type of game that it forces you to get outside, and I think that's like the first kind of since you and I used to do geocaching back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, where we would like go out in the physical world and find these caches. But it's exactly the same as geocaching. Like there was many TV shows about the geocaching murderer, or somebody who planted a cache and like waited for somebody to come and get it. The issue I think with Pokemon Go is just that like it's true. We were in San Francisco, and then this weekend we were up in Santa Rosa, and you watch kids walk down the street holding their phones in front of their face, and you
Mm-hmm.
just would assume, you're like, okay, well they must be playing Pokemon Go because they're so into this thing, and they're wandering around the street saying like, okay, let's go left, let's go right, oh, go forward, and so you can tell people are doing it. I don't. Most of the cases of where like somebody's fallen off of a cliff, somebody found a dead body, somebody got mugged. I mean, I think it's the news seeking out these like semi stories to kind of keep it going on.
The other thing I think that kind of throws people off too is like when computers interact or like do something that they don't expect because it's not officially meant to do. Like they may not understand that it's all based on like previous data that's been
Sure.
sent to it. Like it's, I guess, like
I
once
mean,
again like the knowledge sharing
right. So
or
you got
understanding.
personally, I think I'm maybe different than the average person, but personally, there's that story of, the girl, and she went to Walmart and she bought all of these vitamins and different pieces, and then later her father got an email about, pregnancy, diapers, and things like that.
Right.
And Walmart knew, based on her shopping habits, that she was pregnant before the father even knew it.
Right.
Wow, what a travesty that was, data mining her and being able to target her in such an appropriate way. That was crazy. So there's situations like that. There's situations where people are like, oh, I bought toilet paper off Amazon, and Amazon knew I bought 28 rolls of toilet paper, and then they waited 36 days, and then they sent me a thing to say, like, hey, I think you need toilet paper again, and that's crazy. Like, I don't like it when that happens.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, I think that's amazing. I honestly think that is what makes the world great. And I hate the other side. So I hate it when I get an email that somebody says, hey, Ryan, this is Wells Fargo Bank, and we wanted to let you know that you should sign up for this product that you already have. And I am like, what? Like, you should be somebody who knows that they send out a mass piece of mail that is static for everybody to millions of people, and they're just treating it like as if it was a flyer. And that drives me, I probably twice a week, or twice a month, let's say, respond to some sort of marketing email I got, and I say, your segmentation is horrible. Like, how did I end up in this bucket of what you did? And so part of it to me is like, I embrace that. I don't know if other people do. I think some people might get a little creeped out by it, but like, you don't want to get blanket spam every day in your inbox. You want to be notified when you're almost out of toilet paper, and you want to be like, I think like that is what the smart companies are doing, and the blanket spam companies are going to fade away eventually. It should, it is slowly going to disappear. What I don't like is if they start to pull in other people or your friends, or like, the thing that sometimes scares me is apps that are network based, LinkedIn and Facebook, where it knows all of the people who I know, and those get a little bit at times when sometimes I panic that I almost clicked on a like button of a different thing. Data privacy is I think it's a generational problem. We a lot of the time use legacy logic, like, when people used to phone our house when we were kids, the telemarketers during dinner time, that was about like as bad as you could get. Like, where did you get this phone number? How did you get it? Like, what did I sign up for? Put me on your do not call list and never call again. So that was like the legacy kind of like privacy dispute was, we had a phone number, and sometimes people would call our house. Now the thing that we have in our pocket, our phone number that we carry around, is like, it's such an integral part of our life, but everything that we love about what it can do is a compromise of sharing the data that those applications need to build that wealth and value and models to build on. If nobody shared their location on Waze, you would just have like good old fashioned maps. That's all it would be. So I think the more users get used to kind of understanding that they are participating in an ecosystem that adds value, and no ecosystem will continue to grow if it's purely spam. Nobody loves telemarketers or constant ads or constant like anything, and so everybody's worried that they're going to use this to spam me, listen to me, and do this. But there's no ecosystem that can survive solely off of that. The people who are willing to provide data have to be willing to at least get that much benefit back, if not more, for free. And I think traditionally we're sharing more and more, but we're getting more and more back, in my perspective. That level of trust has to go to the software vendor, and that you need to be able to kind of, evaluate the vendor and the platform that you're using. Sometimes I actually think when I boot up Pokemon Go, I am kind of like, who built this thing? It's very slow. Like, there's this loading page that takes like a long time, and then like some of the graphics don't. And so I don't know if it's just mental stuff, but it doesn't look super polished. And so sometimes I go like, what are they doing underneath the surface here? And I think like optically, when it's a good brand, it's a polished application, everything looks good. Like, it's almost like you walk into a business that is a sketchy, pawn shop, and the guy's asking you to give him cash, versus you walk into a Trader Joe's and they have everything in line and it's a very proper place. So I think like the digital world, you kind of learn to look for kind of things that might be a little bit off compared to things that you're used to seeing and might trust.
Yeah, I think what you just said right now is really important. I think that actually kind of that like words it in a very good way with what you were just saying, is that like it, rather than like should you be aware of where your information is going, potentially like shifting it to be like, should people be not suspicious but more aware of like the apps or the developers or the organizations that they're participating with, and like be able to
Absolutely.
make like the proper like kind of like gut feeling call of like sketchy or not, because there's a lot of times that